Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Apollo Racing Club IndyCar Series. We are rounding down the weeks until the finale here. Just 3 more races left in the season. Tonight, we head to Lexington, Ohio, to Mid-Ohio. It's going to be an exciting racetrack, just over 2 miles long. It's actually our first visit here to Mid-Ohio for the Apollo Racing Club. So it's going to be very interesting track temp, up to 95 degrees right now. So tire wear going to be pretty high. Very technical track with some really slow speed corners. You got a mix of high speed in there as well. But it should be a thrilling race. Qualifying is underway. So we'll take a look here at times for a moment. But just want to let you know today's race, just as every other, is brought to you by Europe's largest racing school, Driver 61. If you're looking to get faster in the world of iRacing or sim racing in general, head on over to driver61.com. They have several different services to help you out, and they have a special code for you here. It is ARC Driver 61. That can save you up to 25% off all of their services. Also, be sure to check out our friends over at Grid Finder. Gridfinder.com is the internet's only league search tool. ARC is an approved Grid Finder league, and you can find all of our leagues, F1, ACC, iRacing, and more over there, as well as thousands of other leagues featured on their site. So qualifying most over halfway through. For some reason, doesn't look like the tower wants to cooperate. We'll see if the scan cross works. We'll see if the scroll is going to work here. So qualifying right now, Charles Bertrand in first, Colin Kinser second, Austin Armstrong is third. And it looks like this is going to work out while the timing tower does not. So my apologies for that, but it is what it is. So taking a look at this track, you can see there's some really tricky sections, nice wide tracks. So you can definitely have some 2, possibly even 3 wide battles depending on the spot you're in on the track, like the back stretch here. But then when you get into the S's, it gets really, really tight. The downhill section here can definitely lose the control a little bit if you're not careful. If you get on the throttle a bit too fast, the car is very light down the downhill. But coming into this race, while we're waiting for qualifying to commence, let's take a quick peek here at the driver's standings. Last week, we saw Andrew Surowiec take Homestead. He had a really good race, was in control for most of it, but then you saw Brock Whiteman try to hunt him down, just was unable to get to him in the final laps. But Andrew Surowiec is currently first place in the standings. With the drop week, he's 38 points ahead of Charles Bertrand. So these standings do not show the drop week. Just a little FYI for you guys. But as the standings currently are, you've got Surowiec, Bertrand, Whiteman are your top 3. Matthew Rice and David McCourt round out your top 5. And then going on past that, we've got Jake Jackson, John Krauser, Cody Barrett, Craig Bray, and Tanner Long are your top 10. Mark Feeney, Adam Martin, Derek Stack, Eric Oliva, and Joseph DuPont are your top 15. And to round out your top 20, we've got DeAndre Young, RJ Conley, Gregory Shaw, Brendan Calderon, and Liam McNeil. Then you got Mark Harrison, James Williamson, Patrick Crouch, Brandon Welch, Christopher Norris, Colin Kinser, Tyler Reed, Daniel Taskey, Austin Armstrong, and Scott Sengbush round out the top 30. So we have some new faces out on the field tonight. One of those being Jack Hedgecock's here. He's driving the number 24, a nice slick black car with some silver accents. It's really nice out there on the track. Oh, it's actually a Red Bull F1 car. Sorry, not F1 car, IndyCar. It's a very nice ride out there. Another one making his debut is going to be that of the 45, Robbie Burt. From the nice big blue, it's Jimmy Johnson, the Lowe's scheme. So there are 2 new drivers here tonight. Another one that we had make a debut last week was Colin Kinser. He is back, currently sitting on pole, just over Charles Bertrand and Joseph DuPont. So we'll see how our newbies do. But a small field so far tonight, only 15 registered. There's still a little bit of time if anybody else is going to join on up. But taking a look here, track position. Oh, can't really see it with the scrolling standings there. My apologies. But let's go take a look here real quick on board and see what a lap here around Mid-Ohio looks like through the eyes of Joseph DuPont. Coming up to the keyhole here. It's a very long corner. It's low speed as well. It's a big braking zone, so look out for some dive bombs here as the race goes on. But then it leads to the back stretch. Great opportunity to use your push to pass. It's a very long stretch that leads into the S's. And it's where it gets to be very technical, trying to find that fine line to be able to maximize your speed in a hard braking zone here. And do the right quick left-hander that goes down the hill. And you can see, you can even hear it in the car. Very sensitive on the throttle there. If you get on too quick, it's going to be very easy to spin it. And then we get down into Thunder Valley. If you're down there, all you're going to hear is the roar of the engines coming through. And with these IndyCar engines, they are loud. But then it's going to round you around here to the final corners. So nothing really, like, he doesn't go flat out at all here. Don't really get an opportunity to. Coming around the last corner, though, trying to cut it as hard as he can. Late apex so he can get a run off there on the final corner up to the line. And that actually is not going to bump him up. So as they look at Joseph DuPont on board, take a look a little further back. Your points leader, Andrew Surwick, right now riding in 14th. Struggled here to find a lap time. So it may be some good news here for Charles Bertrand. If he's able to stay up at the front and Surwick struggles to find the pace and the grip, which seems to be the case so far. Coming around here up to the line. Not sure if this is a hot lap or if it is. Yes, it is a hot lap, but it's not going to bump him up much. Only gets him up a spot past Christopher Norris at 110.26. Still way off pace, a full 2 seconds off Colin Kinser on pole. So time about to run out. If you cross the line before the 0 seconds hit, you do get a chance to run one more lap, and Matthew Wright's going to be one of those lucky guys to be able to run another lap here around Mid-Ohio. Charles Bertrand looks like he might cross the line as well. Joseph DuPont's going to try and see if he can get one more to set a pole time. Matthew Wright's up into the keyhole here. Big braking. Going to cut it all the way into the curb there. Nice run out. It's a lot of speed here. We'll pull up the dashboard so you can see his speed just as he comes down into the S's. Going to be crushing 180 miles an hour right before the braking zone and then dropping it all the way down into second gear actually, coming around and down the hill. Looks like Charles Bertrand not going to be able to put in another time. Joseph DuPont not going to be able to as well. So now it's just Matthew Rice and Brock Whiteman on track. Brock Whiteman finishing second place last week. Had a nail-biter of a finish. Try to see if he could outlast Andrew Surwick. It was a bit of an endurance race on fuel and tires. Just was not able to get it done. But here we come. Matthew Rice up to the line. Will he best his 109.15? He will by about 0.03 of a second. And that's going to be just enough to bump Austin Armstrong back to the next row. Or sorry, to the inside of the next row. And here comes Brock Whiteman. He's looking for a strong finish. Trying to see if he can keep his standings in the points. Coming around, doesn't get all the way into the turn there. Losing a little bit of speed for that final lap. That's going to get him just a hair slower and then times it straight in. Oh my goodness. Carnage there. So, our field is set. We'll see how, hopefully the tower works. That way we can run the track map as well, but we'll have to kind of see how the overlay system is working. But it looks like we do have our qualifying results here up in just a moment. So we have 15 cars officially starting today's race. And let's take a look at our grid. So starting on pole with a time of 108, 0.189 is going to be Colin Kinzer. Not far behind him, though, would be Charles Bertrand. So these two neck and neck there for pole. That first row is going to be electric off the start. Moving on to the second row, you've got Joseph DuPont, another very speedy driver around road courses. Those are his expertise, but keep an eye out for him as he hopefully can find that extra half second as we go through the race. Jack Hedgecock's newcomer here for tonight, getting on the second row. Very nice fourth place start for him. Matthew Rice rounds out the top 5. And we move on to Austin Armstrong, only 5 thousandths of a second slower than Matthew Rice. And then moving on to the next row, we got Gregory Shaw in 7th, Mark Feeney in 8th, Robbie Burt, our other newcomer here for tonight, in 9th, and Cody Barrett rounds out your top 10. We then go to Cody Schaefer in 11th, Andrew Serwick in 12th, and then we've got Brock Whiteman in 13th, Christopher Norris in 14th, and then rounding out the field, did not put up a time, will be DeAndre Young. So that's our field here for tonight. Smaller field than usual. Usually we've been fielding about 20 cars or so, but tonight, a little bit of a different track. We haven't been to Mid-Ohio before, so it's a little bit tougher. Yeah, as you saw already in qualifying, some guys really struggling. Guys that usually do a very, very good job in qualifying having some trouble here. And apparently the cameraman having trouble as well. We're actually going to be starting towards the back of the track instead of up towards the front. We're going to just do a half pace lap. So here we go. Colin Kinzer in the McLaren scheme, starting on pole. And we'll see how he starts this race and how he chooses to really push things early on. Benny, the pace car driver, takes it off. And we'll hand it over to Benny the Flagman. He waves it green, and Colin Kinzer takes off quick here into turn number 1. Gets a really good jump on Charles Bertrand. Is going to get way ahead. And a little bit of a scuffle there around turn 1. No incidents, so nice and cleanly. And Colin Kinzer starting to pull away here early on in this one. As they come down the hill towards the backstretch. Colin Kinzer still holding on to that lead. It's a nice gap here. And we'll hop onto the TV camera here and watch us fight down into the S's. There we go. It looks like our tower is working again. So this race, going to be an interesting strategy call. Looks like a one-stop could be the way to go if you can stretch the tires far enough. That's the big thing. Tire wear is really strong here. Looks like about 22 laps is a fuel run, but if you really want to try and stretch that, you might be able to get just a one-stop, but it's looking like a two-stop will probably be the way to go, and where we expect most drivers to go for the day. And looking just right behind here, we've got Charles Bertrand under fire from Jack Hedgecock. And we actually have a wreck further back, and we got another one. That will be Gregory Shaw spinning around on the front stretch, losing the front wing. Unfortunate for him, as he started in the top 10. We're going to jump on back up towards the front here. See a battle between Bertrand and Hedgecock. Actually, Hedgecock's worked his way around here. Gets the job done. That is P2 for the rookie. A little bit further back in the field here. Austin Armstrong under fire from Mark Feeney. Mark Feeney on the alternate tire. Actually, both drivers on the alternate tires here. He doesn't have anything for him through the S's. Into Thunder Valley they go. We can't quite find that time. But now Matthew Rice starting to get hunted down here by Austin Armstrong. He really made up a lot of time there through those last two sectors into the final corner. He's going to try and look to the inside, but it's just not enough of a gap. And you actually see Charles Bertrand dropping back big time. Not sure if there's damage or maybe he's just trying to take it gentle here early on. He did start on those primary tires though, So Matthew Rice, Charles Bertrand, and Colin Kinser all started on the primaries, the slower sets. And a nice move to the inside by Austin Armstrong. But we get the switchback here from Matthew Rice. That's going to give him fourth place right on back. What a move on the inside by Austin Armstrong, but just could not make it stick. And so you can see as we go into the S's, going to be Matthew Rice holding on to that position, but we're going to skip up to first place here. A huge battle for the lead going on as we see Jack Hedgecox comes out in front of Colin Kinser. And those alternate tires doing a number 4, but he's off track. He loses it coming through Thunder Valley. What an unfortunate turn of events as he was in control of the race in the lead. But now Colin Kinser is going to be taken off here. 2.5 in front of Charles Bertrand. Gets a little bit of a lucky break there. Those primary tires holding on here early. It looks like Jack Hedgecox may be pushing a bit too hard early on in this one, but thankfully he does have a fast repair. Should be able to get right back on it. Hopping on board here as we go into the keyhole. It's gonna be that of Austin Armstrong. He's actually going to work his way around Matthew Rice, but look out because he's going to have that toe into the S's. Is he going to try and outbrake him here? No, he's actually going to back off, just kind of let him have that position. Not going to fight him too much, and probably the smart call there, saving a wreck, as we're only on lap 4 here of a 50-lap race. And you see Mark Feeney trying to close that gap. He's keeping it nice and close, trying to make sure that distance doesn't get too far away from him. But he's doing a very good job making sure he's just right there when it needs to be. Moving a little bit further back in the field, though, we got Robbie Burt. He's worked his way up to 7th place, and a little slick there coming through the turn. Almost loses it, but you got Cody Barrett right behind him, and Christopher Norris hunting him down. It's a 7, 8, and 9, this battle going on here. Almost too wide. Yes, we are actually going to go too wide into the final turns here. Christopher Norris looking for an opportunity, maybe waiting for a wreck, and we've got 10th place Andrew Surwick now joining the fight. So we got a 4-way fight for 7. It's heating up back here right now. Burt in the lead for this one. Oh, we lose Christopher Norris. He spins it off of turn 1. Unfortunate for him. The fight goes on. Cody Barron looking for an opportunity. Andrew Surwick taking that turn really wide. Gonna try and give him a big runoff here on the backstretch as they head down into the S's. And it looks like Robbie Burt going to start to pull away a little bit, ever so slightly. And Cody Barrett's got the speed here in these technical sections. You see him closing that gap a little bit, brings it down within 3/10. But it's hard to pass down here just with how the groove is, the momentum of the turns. You don't really get much of an opportunity to try and find a line unless somebody makes a mistake like that. Robbie Burt takes it wide. Cody Barrett's going to have himself a good run up into the final corners here, but not going to have a look at it. Andrew Surwick is there waiting to pounce as well. He's only 3/10 behind Cody Barrett, waiting for an opportunity. Maybe if Cody Barrett tries to make a move and is unsuccessful, can make a move himself. We go further up the grid. Colin Kinser still holding down a pretty solid lead, but you see Charles Bertrand right in that rear view, staying just in gap, trying to keep this one close. Within a second of Colin Kinser, and Austin Armstrong is just about a half second or so back from Charles Bertrand as well. But that fight back there for right now, what is P7, is quite the battle. Now it's starting to spread out just a little bit. They're about 3 seconds apart from each other. Or sorry, not 3 seconds, about a half second apart from each other. Cody Barrett slowly, they're trying to see if he can make a move or get an opportunity here. Andrew Surwick is also, actually all 3 drivers on the primary tires. So nobody really has the tire advantage here. But again, Cody Barrett just keeping that gap nice and decent. Waiting to see if he can get an opportunity on Robbie Burt. He knows he's faster in those technical sections. Just hasn't quite gotten a look at it quite yet to be able to make a move. Going back up to the front here. Got Charles Bertrand. Austin Armstrong has been slowly closing that gap ever so slightly, now half a second away, trying to see if he can find an opportunity to make a move. And actually, Austin Armstrong, a little bit off track there, but he's okay. But Cody Barrett and Robbie Burt both go off track. So Andrew Serwick is going to take P8 and 7. What a way to move up the track there for him. Actually, if we have a chance, we might go take a look at that, but this is such a good battle here for P2. It's about 2/10 of a second away is Austin Armstrong trying to see if he can make an opportunity to try and get a run off here onto the front stretch. It's around, has a good run off, his 2/10 out, can make a run here. He does not activate the push to pass into turn 1 though, has an opportunity as they approach the keyhole. Could look to make a dive, gets a great run off turn 1, side by side as they go. He's gonna get the draft there from Kinzer. He's got the outside. Austin Armstrong's gonna have the run off though on the switchback, possibly. No, he's gonna stay on the outside onto the backstretch. He's gonna have a good run side by side down into the S's. He's got a little bit of an advantage. He's gonna be able to pull in front as he uses that push to pass to be able to get ahead of Charles Bertrand. That is P2 for him. Charles Bertrand drops back, but Austin Armstrong making a good charge here, up 4 spots from the start. But our big mover of the day, this man right here, Brock Whiteman, up 7 spots right now. Not the best qualifying time, but ever since we've gone green, he has been nice and steady, pretty consistent lap time, sitting around about 1:12. And he doesn't need to be super quick, just super consistent, because this track, it's a really tough technical track. Gotta really focus in, and he's more focused right now on racing the track than he is racing other people, because he's got a nice big gap on both sides. Taking a look back at our battle for the lead, Austin Armstrong is now closed in on Colin Kinzer. He's trying to see if he can make a push here. You can see the past several laps here, Austin Armstrong has just put up blazing times. He has gained so much space here on Colin Kinzer. Those red alternate tires are working wonders for him. But it begs the question, how much longer until these tires give in? Because those alternates a lot softer. They're going to lose that grip a little bit earlier. There you go. You can take a look there up in the upper right-hand corner where everybody's at on the track. Things starting to thin out. We have a couple DNFs already. Gregory Shaw, Joseph DuPont, and Stephen Schaefer all putting it back into the hauler for the day. Jack Hedgecock, though, after his wreck early on, took his fast repair and is back on out, giving another go. Only 1 lap down, so a chance that he could maybe gain some spots here throughout the race. We round the final corner. Colin Kinzer still holding steady. Austin Armstrong, though, that last lap, actually, you can see the past couple laps. You can see how he's closed it in, but that distance that he was gaining has pretty much stalled at this point over the past 2 laps. But a great turn there through the keyhole is going to give Austin Armstrong a good run on the backstretch. Going to be in that toe, going to just try and close that gap ever so slightly. Looks to the inside. Is he going to make a move into the S's? No, he tucks back in and is just going to run through this technical section. Going to wait an opportunity here. And maybe give it a run down to the keyhole if he can keep it close like he just was just under 2/10 of a second away. He is right on the tail here of Colin Kinzer, waiting to pounce. And you can see, whoops, on board here, Colin Kinzer. How close Austin Armstrong gets into some of these sections. He runs so smoothly, and you can even see here if we look sector by sector, Colin Kinzer slow through 1 and 2, but then faster in the technical section, and that's where things kind of hurt Armstrong. Those S's, those slower speed corners. And now you're going to see him make a massive run up into the keyhole. He looks good to the outside. He made this move work. Goes for the crossover. No, not going to have it happen that time. Can't get enough of a run into the keyhole, but a backstretch could lead to an opportunity here for him. He's going to be able to close that gap a little bit. Not going to be enough, it looks like, as he's going to have to ride behind for another lap. He's going to try to the inside, but that look is just not enticing enough. He's not there, doesn't want to risk taking himself out of the race on lap 11. Going back a little bit further in the field, taking a look, we've got Cody Barrett and Andrew Serwick. After Cody Barrett went off track, he's worked his way back up here, finding Andrew Serwick again, battle for 7th place. And he's been trying to gain Serwick. You can see lap times slowly working his way back up, but just a couple mistakes here and there have slowed him down. You can see lap 7 and lap 9. Or sorry, lap 9 was where he really struggled. He had a 1:13.3. The rest of his laps have been very, very consistent here for Barrett. But he's trying to see if he can close that gap, get back ahead of Serwick, because he was in control of that race with him earlier. But an off-track caused him to lose that. But he's been having himself a very steady run. He's up 2 spots. Serwick up 5, though. And again, Andrew Serwick was struggling with pace during qualifying. Just could not see him to be able to find that groove. But it seems like he's settled into his own here. The car really coming to him. Moving back up to the front here. We get ready to enter Thunder Valley. Austin Armstrong is closing that gap again, but just cannot seem to find an opportunity to get around Colin Kinser. And those red tires are going to start losing their speed very, very soon if they haven't already for him. You can see he's trying to keep pace here, but that middle sector, Sector 3, is just not fast for Austin Armstrong. He gains so much time through 1 and 2, and then loses it throughout Sector 3, and then can gain it back here on the final few corners. But it's just not enough to be able to make a move here as we go into turn 1 and then the keyhole. Also, one thing to note here for Austin Armstrong, he's used 3 of his 10 push-to-passes already. Trying to be aggressive early on, and that's the way to go. I mean, if you're starting on the reds and almost half the field, actually over half the field starts on the primaries, you've got to be aggressive. That's your time to make the moves, be able to push the pace, because you're going to be faster in grip already. Might as well maximize your pace from there. So that's the strategy he's got going on. And it seems like he's maybe backed off the push to pass from there. But you can see Charles Bertrand behind. Not too far, within 2 seconds of the 2 drivers in front. But he's keeping it nice and steady. But then we've got a nice large gap here that goes back to Mark Feeney. He's actually getting under fire from Matthew Rice. Matthew Rice kind of been just kind of stagnant so far throughout this race. Mark Feeney himself has worked up really, really far. He was fighting Austin Armstrong earlier. Just doesn't have that same pace as Armstrong. However, he's found himself up into 4th place after starting back in 8th. So he's had a nice move here. And he's going to call it. He's going to be our first stop of the day. It's Mark Feeney coming on in for his first pit stop. And he'll probably fit the primary tires. And that should get him pretty far here in the run. Down the backstretch we go, and we've seen this move just a few times. And actually, we have a wreck. Andrew Serwick and Cody Barrett both wrecking here. And we'll go back and see what happens here in that wreck. Taking a look here, coming around the final corners. Andrew Serwick comes around to the front stretch. Hey, oh, he just gets a little loose. So does Cody Barrett. They do a tandem spin. It is very unfortunate. And, oh, I'm not sure if that's front wing damage there for Andrew Serwick. Christopher Norris will take advantage of that one. Back up to the front, though. Colin Kinser still holding off Austin Armstrong. And Armstrong really stretching the life of these red wall tires. We saw Mark Feeney. He started on those reds, came on in already. He was our first stopper. It was a scheduled stop. So lap 13 is when he decided to call it for those tires. But a little bit further back here, Andrew Serwick, Cody Barrett, they might have spun, but they're right back at it. This time, it's Andrew Serwick that is the attacker, and Cody Barrett's going to have to defend. He's got a little bit of a gap, though. As opposed to what we saw just moments ago where Cody Barrett was right on Andrew Serwick's tail. Just could not seem to close that gap enough. But a good run through turn 1 for Andrew Serwick is going to find him closing that gap rapidly up to up to Barrett. And now Christopher Norris might be joining this battle as well. But Serwick gets loose off the keyhole, and that is unfortunate for him. Looking up a little bit further ahead here, Cody Barrett within a second now of Christopher Norris, and he's going to try and see if he can close this gap and make a move for P6. But Christopher Norris right now tied with Brock Whiteman for your hard charger of the day, up 8 spots. So started back in 14th, Brock Whiteman back in 13th. So they shared a row and have now moved up the same amount of spots. We'll see if they can keep holding on to that here as the race progresses. Meanwhile, back up to first place, Colin Kinzer. Looks like he's maybe dropping off ever so slightly, but if it's anything, it's maybe thousandths of a second. Because that gap that he usually closes down to about 15 hundredths of a second into the S's was about 3/10 of a second that time. So it looks like maybe those red tires starting to overstay their welcome. Again, it looks like a fuel run. It's probably around 22 laps. If you can save, you can definitely stretch that, but that is quite the stretch if you do so. But still, Austin Armstrong right on his tail, doing a phenomenal job of following the 46. He's going to be right on his tail coming down the backstretch. Can he make a run here from turn 1 up to the keyhole? I'm going to come on up here. Doesn't look like he's going to make a move. You see him come through the keyhole here. And over the hill they come. Still, just following in line. It just looks like that distance seems to be growing ever so slightly as we go lap by lap. And you can see it just seems to be Charles Bertrand off track, though. Thankfully, is able to recover it. But he's been doing such a good job of following those two. Unfortunate for him, but thankfully doesn't lose too much time. That's going to keep him pretty close to where he was already, just maybe lost a second of time. Come around from the final corner. Austin Armstrong hits that apex just a bit too early, and that's going to cost him here coming onto the front. He's going to be about 4/10 back, and that time just keeps growing bigger and bigger. We go a little bit further back here in the field. Taking a look at 4th place. We've been spending a lot of time with our top 3, our podium drivers right now as it stands. But you've got Matthew Rice. He's been holding nice and steady now up to 4th place, after we saw Mark Feeney make his first scheduled stop. But then go back here to Brock Whiteman riding around in P5. And actually, hang on, we saw Austin Armstrong, we missed it, make the move for first, but then overdrives the corner. That is going to be P2 for him, and that's probably all the time that he's going to want to lose. I would not be surprised if we see him stop in for a pit here. What an unfortunate turn of events. He's been riding on the tail of Kinzer all race long here, ever since he got to P2. But then just overdrives once he gets the move done and ends up giving the spot right on back. So let's see if he drives in. No, he's going to stay out a little bit longer on those red tires. Very interesting move. And then closes that gap already by about 3/10 in just that little bit alone. He is really pushing, so be careful there. We might see another off track, maybe some loss of control here as he's really pushing those tires to their limit, maybe even beyond some, because you can see Kinzer slowing down himself as that keyhole was a little bit slower than it's normally been for him, and now Armstrong really closing that gap. Coming down into the S, he's going to be within, it was almost 3/10, but braking a little bit early. You've got to definitely be soft on those tires now. They're going to be a little bit heated up. If you're Austin Armstrong, we'll keep monitoring what's going on in this battle here. Going a little bit further back, though, we got Brock Whiteman riding around in 5th place. He's up 8 spots, and then we have Christopher Norris further back behind him, and he also is up 8 spots. And then we've got the battle that's been brewing all race long, just like Colin Kinzer and Austin Armstrong. Cody Barrett for 7th, and Austin Armstrong for 8th. Sorry, Andrew Serwick for 8th place. Charles Bertrand is in the pit, making his scheduled pit stop. So he actually stops. He's on the primaries. Stopped before Austin Armstrong and several of the drivers who started on the alternates. An interesting strategy there. You can see Cody Barrett. He's holding a slim lead. It's been about a half second for most of this race, just ever so slightly ahead. But we're going to jump back up to the battle for first place because Colin Kinzer and Austin Armstrong still going at it neck and neck as we go through the S's. And Armstrong, again, he's really fast in the high-speed corners, but when it comes to these slower, more technical corners, it seems to be where he loses pace because you can see we go through Thunder Valley, he picks up the speed again, but then he starts to lose as we come out of some of those slower corners. We've already had 2 drivers from the top stop. We'll see if we get another one here. Nope, Austin Armstrong gonna stick it out some more. A long run on these red tires, but he's maybe trying to stretch it for a 1 stop. Onto the inside here through the S is gonna be Andrew Serwick, but now side by side as they go down the hill here. And a little sketchy there. You see Cody Barrett get just the ever so slightly loose, but he's going to pull ahead of Serwick. He's going to drop back in line. So Serwick trying to make a move, almost makes it stick. But that inside line there, Cody Barrett, those S's nice and strong, and now coming around to the final corners. Andrew Serwick maybe looking to make an opportunity, not going to get one though. And so he's going to start to pull ahead a little bit more. Moving further ahead in the track here as they get ready to come out of Thunder Valley is going to be Austin Armstrong and Colin Kinzer. Austin Armstrong is closing that gap a little bit, but just not going to be able to bring it in enough. Now, when is going to be that pit stop for these guys? Are they going to follow each other? Or are we going to see Austin Armstrong make the call first? Again, he is on those very old tires. He's going to stay out along with Colin Kinzer, and he spins it! He spins it off the final turn. Unfortunate there for Austin Armstrong. And I think that might be the call there to go in and change the tires. He is coming in, you see, further back, coming up the hill now to the keyhole. Now 5 seconds back, and that is very, very unfortunate. A great run that he's had throughout this race. And really stretching those red tires a lot longer than they should have been, especially with the pace that he's been. Charles Bertrand, though, making note, he came in, he stopped, and got the red tires. He's on the alternates. We're going to look here. Robbie Burt, you saw him running behind the leader. We'll see what got him there, because he was doing a decent job after he had spun earlier. Doing a little bit of a recovery drive, and oh, he spins it going into the S's, so unfortunate for him. Thankfully, no damage, just maybe some heated up tires. But now Andrew Serwick in the pits. He's going to go in for the early pit stop, trying to see if he can get the undercut on Cody Barrett. Two of them have been battling back and forth almost all race long. So here comes Serwick riding out P10. Austin Armstrong spins again. And that could be his race. Let's go see what happened here. Caused actually Robbie Burt to get involved as well. Comes around the final corner. Oh, and Robbie Burt had already spun. And so Austin Armstrong coming blind around that corner, doesn't see him, and ends up getting taken out. And that is really unfortunate for Austin Armstrong. Been running P2 all race long, but now you see Colin Kinzer running all up by himself. Oh, and Andrew Serwick spinning right in front of the leader. Thankfully, Kinzer able to avoid that, but Kinzer holding on to first place here with a nice sizable gap, 20 seconds over Matthew Rice. But he still has to stop, so does Matthew Rice. Bertrand just put up the fastest time of the race. And you see our last lap times here. You can see who just ran what as Kinzer comes across the line, ran 111.2. But you can see Charles Bertrand ran on 109. Pretty quick lap there on those alternate tires. But your leader right now going to be Colin Kinzer. Looking a little bit further back, though. Bertrand's starting to catch up to Matthew Rice. He's trying to see if he can make a move here. He's on those fresh tires. Matthew Rice, you have to make a stop, so hopefully not going to hold him up too much. He doesn't want to get caught up in traffic, because now is his time to make moves, because he's got that fast car. He is 2 seconds faster than Kinzer in that last lap. They're trying to make up tons of ground because he ended up spinning it earlier and falling further back. So we're about halfway through the race. Next time by, we'll be halfway through our race here at Mid-Ohio in Lexington, Ohio. I just want to take a moment to mention one of our sponsors for today's race. We've got Driver 61. If you're looking to learn more about sim racing and how to find speed, or if you're already quick and want to learn how to get a little bit faster, check out Driver 61. They're Europe's largest racing school, and they're here to help in the world of sim racing. If you're interested in their services, head on over to driver61.com, and they've got a special discount for all of the Apollo Racing Club viewers. If you use the code ARCDriver61, you will get 25% off all of their services. So halfway through the race, Colin Kinzer holds on to that lead. Charles Bertrand is on the hunt. Matthew Rice makes a stop, and so does Cody Barrett. But if you take a look from the pit stop there, lap 20, Charles Bertrand has been running at least a second faster. Lap 24 there, the only exception, but I guess 23 makes up for it, where he was 2 seconds faster than Kinzer. But he's out here running hot laps right now, trying to see if he can maintain that pace to close in at least a second per lap. Kinzer in the pits, and we'll see what he's going to be putting on his tires. And now Bertrand should be coming around here very shortly, coming around the final corners. And we are going to see the alternate tires on Colin Kinzer's car. Charles Bertrand is going to pass him. The undercut works for Bertrand. So Kinzer stops at the halfway point, looking like he'll probably do 2 sets of reds here. But Colin Kinzer, now your new leader. It seems like the pit strategy has worked out for him. Brock Whiteman and Christopher Norris both into the pits as well. We've got a couple coming down pit road. Matthew Rice back up to third. He actually put on the primaries again. Mark Feeney up to 4th place. He's been riding around in the back since he made an early pit stop. You can see him coming around the back there. He gets ready to close in on the keyhole. He's riding around 4th place, and he's actually up 4 spots on the race. And we actually have, there are 3 drivers who have gained 8. I'll make it now 2 because DeAndre Young drops back to 8th place. But for a moment there, 3 drivers tied for the Hard Charger Award, all 3 up 8 spots. DeAndre Young will have to make some time back here as he's been into the pit road. But it looks like everybody has made their first scheduled stop. We'll see if anybody's going to try and stretch this to a 2-stop. Right now, only DeAndre Young is a lap down. This battle for first place is going to start heating up here very shortly. As you see, Bertrand 5 seconds ahead, but those alternates that he has fitted are going to start to wear because he's been on them for about 6 laps now. Bertrand, this is a huge race for him. If he can stay ahead in the lead, I don't think he's going to be able to get the most laps led award because Kinzer led half the race. And it looks like Kinzer is on the hunt. And I don't know if Bertrand's going to be ready to make this run for 30 laps on these tires. I don't think it's going to be possible to do 30 laps on these tires. He stopped on lap 19. However, you've got Andrew Surowick back in 8th place. He's the points leader. Right now with the drop week, Surowick is 38 points ahead of Bertrand. So a win here would be massive for him. He keeps opening up that gap here just more and more. As you can see, the last lap here, once he got through the pit road, He's just ever so slightly gaining time on Colin Kinzer. We'll see if that's going to maintain that way, though, as the race goes. A quick little rundown here of our drivers and who is where on the field. We've got Charles Bertrand in first place. Colin Kinzer riding 7 seconds behind him in second. Be ready. Once those tires heat up, I would not be surprised if we see Kinzer rip through the field and catch up to Bertrand before Bertrand makes a stop. However, that undercut worked out beautifully. We see Matthew Rice rounds out your podium right now. He is a 7-second gap to Mark Feeney, who is fourth place. Feeney has had a good run for himself as well. Started off back in 8th place, but has worked his way up to 4th, is in the top 5. Then you've got Brock Whiteman, rounds out your top 5 right now, and he has gained so much time here. 8th place for him, and started in the same row as him, back in 6th. Trying to see if he can close that gap about 1.5 seconds away is Christopher Norris. 7th place is going to be Cody Barrett. He's trying to close in on Norris to see if he can gain one more spot. And then Surwick, who is just unfortunate, had a spin, has fallen back, and is now under heat from one of the rookies in the race. It's going to be Jack Hedgecox for 9th. And then to round out your top 10, and actually your remaining drivers on the field, is going to be DeAndre Young. Let's take a look here. That battle here for P9, P8. Andrew Surwick holding off Jack Hedgecox. Now, Jack Hedgecox stopped on lap 3. He's been on the primary tires. Going to be getting close to 30 laps on those tires here. And actually, he says, you know what? We're going to take that stop because that's too much. I would not be surprised if we see those reds, because we saw Austin Armstrong take those reds almost 25 laps. A little bit further ahead, Christopher Norris has closed the gap here on Brock Whiteman. He's got a nice run. Now into the technical third sector. A little loose there. As you see both of them, back end swings around as they come down the hill. Now through Thunder Valley we go. Norris a little hot there, but it's not going to hurt him as he gains a lot of time here. Now coming up to the final corners, Brock Whiteman going to hold off a little bit longer here. But we'll see what's going to happen as they go into the front stretch. We've seen the attacker have some really good moves coming around the final corners. Norris getting really aggressive, looking around the outside. That's going to compromise his speed here into the front. A little bit of the gap going into turn 1. Norris going to ride behind, but is going to give him an opportunity, if he can get a nice exit here, to run up the hill to the keyhole. And actually, you see Brock Whiteman holds him off a little bit longer. So Norris going to have to ride in tow just a little bit longer. Now going to have an opportunity as they go down the backstretch. Should be able to give him a lot of a run. He gets ready to run into the S's. Not going to be enough, though. Going to give it a look. He's going to try it. What a dive there. And holds on to it, too. That's going to give him the spot, but will he be able to hold on to that spot? What a move by Christopher Norris. A bold one at that. That'll be P5. A top 5 spot here for Norris, and could be his first of the season if he holds on to it. He joined weeks ago. Hasn't had the best of luck throughout the races, but he's been pretty steady and consistent here. Seems to have found his groove around mid-Ohio. Runs very wide there around the final 2 turns, but it's not going to matter. He's going to be able to hold on to that spot over Brock Whiteman. Now looking a little bit further ahead here, Colin Kinzer trying to close that gap up to Charles Bertrand. He has been able to just a little bit. He's going to come across the line. We'll see how it fares. And it looks like actually Bertrand is turning the tide back. There was a moment that you saw a couple laps where actually, sorry, my bad. It's the other way around. Kinzer has started to close that gap. Bertrand was really opening it up, but now in the past 2 laps, Kinzer's closed the gap by 1.2 seconds and is gaining as we speak. So he's really getting those red tires warmed up. Bertrand's are starting to wear out a little bit as he's been on those for over 10 laps now. The grip starting to go. His lap time last lap was 110.6. Kinzer was a 110.1. The two of them just in their own world. They're both checking out of this race, getting in their own groove, getting ready for what will probably be a really good fight here within the final 15 laps by the time he closes in. The rest of the field, though, they're all fighting together. The field is really spread out, but you can see a couple people starting to pair up a little bit, that being 5th, 6th, and 7th. Norris, Whiteman, and Barrett. Still pretty big gaps. Cody Barrett has made a little bit of a recovery drive there after him and Thurwick both spun it. Thankfully, no damage, and Barrett was able to get it back on. Now 18 to go as the leaders crossed the line a little while ago. Actually, they're getting close to being able to lap some of these cars, but Bertrand off track, and that's going to cost him huge. Kinzer now on the hunt here, comes around the S's, and that's going to be a massive shunt there by Charles Bertrand. Thankfully, no damage to the car, but we saw that earlier. He was running really well behind Kinzer and Armstrong. He was keeping a nice about the second gap between him and Armstrong from second to third, but then he made one mistake and it dropped him back about 4 seconds. Armstrong, though, will he elect to come in for a pit stop? Looks like he's going to keep the car out a little bit longer. Going to be able to ride behind, it looks like, Surwick. Try to see if he can get some tow here and gain a little bit more speed, trying to pull away from Kinzer. Pull up towards the inside. And Surwick gonna keep fighting for that spot, though. Doesn't really want to give it up. Doesn't want to go a lap down. Gonna go side by side into the S's, and if you're Kinzer, you're loving what you're seeing right now. This is helping him out greatly as it's holding up Bertrand just a little bit. But now you see Surwick concedes the position and goes a lap down again. Kinzer trying to see if he can gain time. He's now within 2 seconds, though, of Bertrand. So slow and steady, he's working his way up there. He gets a really nice run out there as they come up to the final corners. We're going to see if maybe he can close that in a little bit more from 2 seconds. Gains a lot of time here through the final corners. But really slow through there in comparison to Bertrand, loses a good bit of time. And so Bertrand gonna hold on to this lead a little bit longer. And you can see the gap here just from the drone view, not in view. But if you go all the way back here, third place, Matthew Rice just now getting ready to cross the line. So that's how big of a gap these two have made for themselves. They are in their own world up there, having a phenomenal race for themselves. But Matthew Rice, I mean, you can't cut him out. He's had a race for himself as well, because he's been all by himself for a good portion of this run. He's been nice and steady, got ahead early, and just hasn't really had to worry about things. He's been in the groove, in the zone, hasn't had to fight many people. A good run for him. Things have really spread out throughout the rest of the field, though. Norris has really gapped Brock Whiteman. And now it's a 4-second gap back to Whiteman as you just see him barely coming into view further back. And then even further behind, you've got Cody Barrett. So Cody Barrett hasn't been able to really gain anything on Whiteman. But Norris doing a really good job here, finding time. As you can see, he's put a lot of time. It's about a half second a lap on Brock Whiteman. 15 to go. The leader's coming down the backstretch. While we have a moment, a little bit of lull in the action, I want to take a moment to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors for today's race, Grid Finder. If you're looking to get a part of a league, whether it be iRacing, the F1 game, ACC, be sure to check out Grid Finder. They are the league, the internet's only league search tool, and the ARC, the Apollo Racing Club, is an approved Grid Finder league. You can find all of our leagues over on Grid Finder, from F1 to ACC to iRacing. and you can find over thousands of different leagues featured on their site. So if you're looking to get into some league racing in sim racing, be sure to go check out Grid Finder. So it looks like Jack Hedgecock's closing in on Cody Barrett, but that's not really going to matter too much. However, looking a little bit further back, looks like Cody Barrett's starting to close that gap on Brock Whiteman. So Whiteman's tires possibly going here a little bit on him. He's only been on him for about 10 laps, so it's kind of surprising that he's fallen off pace so much. But you can see Cody Barrett, if you look at the lap times, has been able to gain a good bit on him. Now there were those 2 laps that, yeah, he lost 1.2 seconds on Whiteman, but just in the last lap alone, he gained all that time. So Cody Barrett, it's all about consistency at this point. Can you keep hitting those 111s, those 110s? Because that's where you're gaining time on Brock Whiteman. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Mark Feeney in pits. First of the second scheduled stops. We'll see if he puts on those red tires here for the final 14 laps. His leaders almost all the way through the track to stop in for lap 13. Or sorry, 13 to go. Just spoke there. Brock Whiteman, or Mark Feeney, I mean, coming out. He will be on the red tires, and leaders getting pretty close here. No, actually, sorry, my bad. Bertrand must have spun it again. Let's go take a look here. What happened there? Yeah, he was off for quite a while. So let's go take a look what happened to Charles Bertrand. Running with Andrew Surwick again. He just spins it into the S's. It's way off track. I'm not sure. That's not what caused Kinzer. Oh, he stopped into pits. That's what. My apologies. Bertrand came into pit lane. So actually, Feeney was responding to Bertrand. So my apologies on that one. But you can see Brock Whiteman closing that gap. He is now within a half second, but he's got Jack Hedgecock's lap down car fighting him here for track position. It's going to hold off Cody Barrett. If you're Brock Whiteman, you're got a fist pump in the air. They're getting really close, almost making contact. Somehow the cars stay clean. A little bit of dangerous moment there for the 27 team. You could hear them biting their nails there. That was a very narrow incident that finished their day. Further back, Mark Feeney came in for his second stop, and it's going to be Andrew Surwick trying to chase him down. But those fresh tires are going to win out every single time. I would not be surprised if we see Feeney take off here once they get warmed up. But Bertrand, he came in for a second time, so that was my bad. I thought there was something else that had happened, but he just came in for another stop. So he fits those alternate tires. He's going to run those to the end. We're still waiting for Colin Kinzer, though, to come in for his last scheduled stop, because I don't think they're going to be able to take those alternates 25 laps. I mean, he definitely could, but that would be a bit of a stretch to be able to do that the whole way to the end. You can see we have a bump of drivers there between 4th and 6th. And it looks like Brock Whiteman starting to close that gap up to Norris again. Norris had a little bit of an off track, so he's lost some of that time there on Brock Whiteman. But keeping it steady, he'll be able to stay ahead. DeAndre Young is in between them, so he's got a lap car, and Jack Hedgecock's trying to overtake Brock Whiteman behind. That's going to hold him up as well, especially as we get into this technical section through the S's. He's just going to give the Hedgecocks no worth fighting a lab car for track position, honestly. Just use it to your advantage, but just make sure Cody Barrett doesn't catch up to you and try and overtake you. Get a nice little drone view here coming into the final corners. Christopher Norris holds down 4th place right now. He's got a long road to go if he wants to catch up to Brock Whiteman. Cody Barrett's going to dive into pit road, though. Going to go for the undercut. We've seen the undercut work already once in Charles Bertrand. We'll see if it's going to happen again here. And oh, DeAndre Young spins it. That's not going to cost Brock Whitman. He does keep the car clean, but had to slow down a little bit to avoid that. So Norris going to be able to run away with the position a little bit. Bit of a lucky break there for Norris, but Brock Whitman takes a huge breath of relief there in the car as he was able to avoid a major incident that would have really cost him his top 5. Looking further back, Cody Barrett off track. He actually comes out behind your second place, which is Charles Bertrand, now 16 seconds off Colin Kinser. Kinser running through Thunder Valley, and he's actually now lapped up to 6th place. Only your top 5 is on the lead lap at this point, and the only ones that are really safe are Matthew Rice and Charles Bertrand. Norris off track there. He's going to see if he can get it back on, though. Oh, he ends up spinning it. Take a look what happened here real quick. See how he got into that spot. He had Hedgecox. Oh, they made contact, and they spun it. Unfortunate for Norris because he's had such a phenomenal job. Thankfully, close to pit road. But it doesn't look like he's going to be able to get the car back out. So that will be a tow for him. It's going to cost him major time. Very, very unfortunate. Brock Whiteman makes out very lucky there. Hedgecox came into the pit after that. Probably had some damage himself. And now just our top 4 on the lead lap. Kinser hunting down Brock Whiteman, though, at this point. It's a battle for attrition. It's all about race strategy. Are we going to see Kinser dive in for a quick splash and go? Or are we going to see him try and stretch to the end? If you're Bertrand, you're hoping he comes on in one more time. Really not worth fitting another set of tires if you're going to stop with just about 10 to go. Or sorry, with like 8 or 7 to go. But I don't know if he's going to be able to make it to the end. Stopped on lap 25, cutting this race in half. He's been able to run those alternate tires for quite some time, but he's a second slower right now than Charles Bertrand. And actually, if we take a look at the lap times, Bertrand's been about a second faster than him for a good while. We'll even see this lap coming around. What time does Bertrand hit? Coming across the line now. It's a lap time. That is well over a second faster. So right now, if you're calling Kinser, you are bleeding time. But if you're able to make it on fuel, you're golden. 8 laps to go. If you lose a second per lap, by the time the race is over, Bertrand's only going to be 7 seconds behind you. However, if we look sector by sector, just this lap alone, Bertrand's already 3/10 up on this lap. And he's going to be gaining even more. He's now 8/10 up on the lap. So again, Kinser is bleeding time quickly. And I think he might be in fuel save mode at this point, trying to see if he can stretch it to the end. But it might end up costing him if he's going to keep losing time at the pace he is, because you can see coming around sector 3. Let's see, coming around sector 3, Bertrand puts up a half second. That's now a second and a half faster at this point of the race for this lap. And then coming across the line, now we're not going to get to see it, but even if you take a look here, we'll go last lap. Oh, hang on, that's not how that's supposed to look. My apologies. Take a look this way. That last lap nearly 2 seconds faster for Bertrand. Now Bertrand is in full send mode at this point because he made that stop earlier. He stopped on lap 39 or 36, I mean. He can make it to the end, no worries. He's got his push to passes. He's using them, that's for sure. Kinser being held up by Brock Whiteman is also playing out to Bertrand's effect. Now, Brock Whiteman, that last lap, about 2 seconds slower, a little bit over 2 seconds slower than Bertrand, so that's going to help out him as well. Now, if we do it that way, Bertrand is going to be on Kinser's tail by the end of the race. If he's going to be 2 seconds faster, so Kinser either needs to find a way around Whiteman at this point, or he's just got to make sure he saves enough fuel to be able to fight at the end, because he's starting to run out of time. This is going to be down to fuel strategy. Is the 1 stop going to work, or is it going to be the 2 stop? Whiteman is holding on here. trying to stay on the lead lap, but you can see Kinzer, it doesn't look like he's trying to push him at this point, just trying to keep nice and steady. That lap, though, Charles Bertrand did not put up a quick time, only a half-second faster than Kinzer. A little bit of an unfortunate time there for him. Matthew Rice is in the pits for his second scheduled stop. Probably just a splash and go, I would assume, at this point. Actually, might have fitted tires. He had a nice long stop, about 9 seconds. So it looks like he's probably putting on tires and running to the end. We'll see as he comes out. Yes, he is on the alternate tires. And so Matthew Rice is going to look to put up maybe the fastest lap of the race, but that's a 108.85 at this point. And it looks like Christopher Norris, after that spin, has put it back on the trailer and is going to call it a night here. 9 cars left on the track, but we've got quite the interesting run here. It's down to strategy. Who's going to be able to pay it out here at the end with 5 to go? Bertrand crosses the line and is about 0.6 of a second faster than Colin Kinzer. Not going to be really enough to do anything, though, if he's going to keep gaining at those times, because, as we've seen, Kinzer way, way ahead. And you can even take a look here. We'll just look at the top 2 at the fuel strategy. You can see, trying to make that 2-stop work. Bertrand tried to make the 3-stop, but it seems like the 2-stop was the strategy to go with. At this point of the race, that 2-stop has really, really worked out for him. Going a little bit further back, we actually have a battle here between Brock Whiteman and Mark Feeney. Mark Feeney hunting down Whiteman. He's been slowly gaining time here over the last several laps. Whiteman on old tires here, 20 laps old. Mark Feeney on the pair of fresh alternates, or a set of fresh alternates. Don't be surprised if he gains lots and lots of pace. You can see over the last several laps here, his lap times have been a little inconsistent, but he's gained good bit of time closing that gap. And actually, the better way to view it is through here. You can see just how much that gap is closed in 5 laps. He's gained almost 2 seconds on Whiteman and is now trying to push him for 4th place, where Feeney has been running for most of the race. The strategy has had him to fight through the field. So this race has come down to the battle of the strategies. It seems like that 2-stop, not the superior strategy. Several drivers on the only a few drivers on that 1-stop, that being Colin Kinzer in 1st, Brock Whiteman here in 4th, and then further back, DeAndre Young in 8th place. DeAndre Young started in last. He did not get a qualifying time, currently running in 8th. Found himself up 7 spots throughout this race, so great job here by DeAndre Young. Mark Feeney might be able to set up something here in towards the keyhole. Coming across the start-finish line now, 3 to go into turn number 1 here. Battle for 4th place. Doesn't quite get all the way into the turn, but is going to try and maximize the runoff here as they come up to the keyhole. Feeney going to slow it down here, trying to see if he can find a gap here, maybe get the runoff into the backstretch. Be able to close a little bit of a gap. You can see Whiteman weaving a little bit, trying to see if he can get him off his draft. A great run here as they go into the S's. Feeney gets a look, is not going to commit to it though. Probably a good call with 3 to go. But if he's going to make a move for 4th place, he's only got a few more opportunities to do it, but he spins it, saves it though, keeps the car on the track. But unfortunately, that might be his opportunity for moving up another spot back into 4th place. But what a save by Mark Feeney to keep this car on track. And if we jump ahead here to Colin Kinzer, coming around the final corners here for 2 to go. And he's actually gotten faster and faster as this run is gone. That car getting lighter and lighter, lower on fuel load. He's only a few seconds back now from 3rd place driver Matthew Rice. Almost gonna lap the field. We'll skip ahead here. Mark Feeney and Brock Whiteman still going at it. Mark Feeney gained a ton of time back. Don't know how he managed that, but he's worked his way back up the field. And actually, a quick little update. Jack Hedgecock's in the 24 car, one of our rookies. He also has packed it up for the day, put it back in the trailer, and it's going to give it another run next week. But battle for 4th place really heating up. Coming around the start-finish line is going to be your leader, Colin Kinzer. Barney the Flagman gives him the white flag one more time around here. And Colin Kinzer is going to be able to get this race done and get a victory. This is, I think, his 3rd race or so of the season. A really good showing for him. Mark Feeney, though, hunt down Brock Whiteman. Not going to get it done here. He's only got about one more opportunity, one more really good passing zone, and that's into the S's. There's a couple other spots here and there, but it's really tough to make a move because there's such technical spots. You got to just be on rails through those corners. He's trying to see if he can get the draft. You can see Whiteman bobbing and weaving. Is he going to go late on the brakes? He looks for it. Isn't going to commit to it. Probably a smart move there. But that might have been his only opportunity to make a move as he locks it up, gets a little bit loose, and into the grass he goes. So Brock Whiteman runs away with it. He's going to hold on to 4th place. Matthew Wright's going to cross the line and be the last one before the leader. Coming across the finish line. Barney the Flagman's got the checkered flag out. Coming around the final turn, Colin Kinzer gets a little bit of weaving as he crosses the line in celebration. He comes home with the race victory. Following up behind 4th place is going to be Brock Whiteman. And then you got Charles Bertrand taking 2nd. And 5th place, rounding out your top 5, is going to be Mark Feeney. A couple more coming across. We've got at 6th place, it's going to be Cody Barrett. Further back here, actually got a little bit of a battle. Oh, no, wait, hang on, sorry. We got DeAndre Young and Andrew Serwick, but Young actually a lap down, so he's not really fighting Serwick for position, his track position, but Serwick takes the checkered. And now Matthew Wright is the only one left here on track to take the checker flag. He's going to come around 3rd place for him. A very solid day. A great run by Matthew Rice. So with that being said, we are going to take a short break. Before we do, though, quick look here at our standings for the final, one moment, your final standings for the race. Your race winner, the race lead here of 10.951 seconds is going to be Colin Kinzer, the 46 car. Charles Bertrand came in 2nd, and rounding out your podium in the 93, Matthew Rice. Brock Whiteman and Mark Feeney round out your top 5. Cody Barrett, Andrew Serwick, DeAndre Young, Christopher Norris, and Jack Hedgecock round out your top 10. And we've got Austin Armstrong and Robbie Burt both finishing 29 laps down. Gregory Shaw got a lap in and unfortunately had a wreck early on. And then Joseph Dupont and Steven Schaefer didn't get to make it a lap. They got involved in an incident on the opening lap. So that is our race here for today. We're going to take a short break, get some interviews in here, and then we'll be wrapping up here, going into our penultimate race. So stick with us. We'll be right on back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are not going to have an interview with our third place finisher, with our second place finisher, Charles Bertrand, but we have our third place finisher here with us here in the booth. We got Matthew Rice. Matthew, congratulations on the podium. What a run you had out there.
Hey, thanks a lot.
It was a really good run for you. So, what was your strategy going in? Were you planning to go for the two stop, or were you hoping to maybe stretch it out for a one stop throughout the race?
No, I didn't think that I was going to be able to make I didn't have a lot of success in practice on the Reds, so I knew I was going to go for a two stop because I didn't think I could make a whole stint last on those. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, my strategy was I committed to not making a single pass on track and just waiting for the race to come to me because I knew this was going to be a chaotic race. So I was able to over-index just by driving safe and consistent. I don't think I was near anybody for the majority of the race.
Yeah, you seem to just kind of be in your own little zone racing the track rather than you were other people. And it was a really good run for you. I mean, your second podium of the season. How's that feel?
Oh, it feels good. I mean, yeah, it's great when a couple of the faster folks go ahead and crash out ahead of you. But yeah, I mean, I earned it. I was safe, so yeah, feels great.
A really good run for you. We've got Pocono and then Watkins Glen coming up. So, what can we expect for you here in these last two races?
Man, so I'm not an oval guy, so I'm just hoping to get in top 10, frankly, at Pocono. But I love Watkins Glen. I'd love to get another podium there. We got some really fast folks though, so we'll see if that's possible. But I think I'll definitely be able to do well at Watkins Glen.
All right. And the floor is yours, real quick, if you want to do any shout outs or anything like that before you head on back.
I'm supposed to shout out to Mid Ohio, but I don't. That's a fake shout out. So no, nothing for me. Great
Uh,
job. My shout out is to you,
well, thank
actually.
you, Matthew.
Thank you for commentating the race. Yeah.
Thank you for being on the track. Great run for you, and congrats on your second podium of the season.
All right. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
You too. All right, we're going to get our first place finisher, our winner here at Mid Ohio. We've got Colin Kinzer here in the booth. Colin, congratulations on that win. Only your third start, but you already got on the winner's circle. How does it feel after that race?
It definitely feels good, but tiring. My back is probably injured, and I need some water.
I'm sure, because that was one heck of a run. Making that one-stop strategy work out to perfection. That was absolutely amazing. Was that your strategy going in to go for the one-stop?
No, because I got the track at about an hour before race time, and I thought I was
Oh,
gonna go in there with about a two-stop strategy, probably all prime alt. But then I realized I could probably run 26 laps on fuel, and the guy behind me who was on my back end for the whole first stint, he was on red, so I knew the reds could go long, so I just decided to one-stop it.
yeah, it was really surprising to see those alternate tires go for so long from both you and Austin Armstrong. In that first half of the race, how did you, what were you doing to hold off Austin Armstrong? Because he was really fast on those reds, and even as it seemed like the reds were going to fall off, he still kept a lot of pace. What was going through your head? What were you doing to try and keep him behind you?
Not really much. I mean, I just tried to get a good exit out of two because that was the only point where I think he could pass me. Because turn one, you get a little bit of dirty air, and I don't think he ever got close enough for a move. Because the last time someone went for a move behind me, he went around my outside and went into the grass. So
So we've got Pocono and Watkins Glen coming up. But being that you've only been here for now 3 weeks, unfortunately don't have a chance of the championship. But looking up into these last two races, what can we expect from the Colin Kinzer team?
nothing at Pocono because I'm not running that. But Watkins Glen, hopefully, get a win again or at least a podium.
All right. Well, we will see you then in 2 weeks at Watkins Glen. Before you head out, the floor is yours if you would like to make any shout outs.
Zero.
All right. Well, thank you again, Colin, for joining us. And congratulations on your first win of the season.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So that is all we've got here for tonight. Next week, we're going to head off to the Tricky Triangle with the infamous tunnel turn, and it's an oval without four corners. So we're going to see how our drivers handle that. 3 turns, each one very, very unique. One of my personal favorite tracks. I love running Pocono. It is actually my home track located in the wonderful state of Pennsylvania in the Pocono Mountains. So make sure you guys join us same time, same place next week here at the Apollo Racing Club on both Twitch and YouTube. But that's it for round 11 here. Round 10, I guess. I miscounted somewhere. Round 10 then of the IndyCar series. the iRacing IndyCar Series through the Apollo Racing Club. We've got 2 more races coming up. Our penultimate race at Pocono, and then on the 23rd, we have our final race at Watkins Glen. And it could be interesting here to see how the points tally up after Charles Bertrand gets that P2 finish. And we saw Andrew Serwick finish a little bit further back in the field. So join us next week. My name has been Alex Light. It's been a pleasure bringing the race to you. And make sure you guys have a great rest of your day and enjoy the weekend as it's just around the corner. Have a great night, ladies and gentlemen.
For you.